Because formal haircutting instruction is given intuitively and not following logical technical parameters, the idea of being certain to get a good quality haircut is highly uncertain. And that is one important reason upon others why sometimes someone would freak out to get a long graduated or layered haircut by a hairdresser and would feel safer to cut it herself, even make her own video, and sometimes be better to do so. Haircut categorized as long and very long graduate/layered haircut design and structure are perhaps the most difficult haircut to execute. It can be the most confusing haircut to learn and give when no logical and precise procedures and systems are not in use. So what is the reason and real technical challenge? The level of difficulty rises as the ratio or proportion of the graduated/layered surface structure is decided to be increased when that style becomes very long. So the solution to the problem is to engineer simple procedures and mechanical systems that can be logical, making sense, not confusing, and doesn't come from an intuitive process which by definition cannot be teachable. Cassie's long gradation/layered haircut begins by a peripheral procedure, and the educational subject today is limited to that specific study. Those are the main physical properties of Cassie's haircut base. The base is laterally symmetric, the shape is elliptical, the perimeter is orbital, the slant is of a stabilized rate, the slant is rounded out in the back hemisphere, and the linear base length is considered as long and thick. Another very important property to know is that this haircut base will later on define all gradation/layering angle attitude. High-performance scissors designed for orthocouralogy have been used. This is a standard pattern model that has been used to give Cassie's haircut. The construction section used to cut Cassie's haircut base, or Victor hairway, is peripheral and regular, left and right. We have called it P1, P for peripheral, and 1 because it is the first construction section. And P1 can be considered as the mean hairline. The configuration of P1 has been used to duplicate a similar haircut on a mannequin in a shorter version, which is much easier to perform and can appeal to instructors and students. Surface standard pattern model are part of the technological body of tools designed to give haircut in the most efficient way. From a minimum standard point of view, it indicates the minimum construction section to be used, their shapes, positions, the order they should be used, and the main part configuration. We begin to give the actual haircut with a center longitudinal part separating the left and right hemisphere. Giving a haircut using a middle part can be used and considered as a default haircutting procedure. However, it is a misbelief that giving a haircut with the middle part will ensure symmetry if the hair thereafter is part left of it or right of it.
Okay, and why do you have a lot to change on this haircut?
I'm sorry?
Why do you have a lot to change?
Well, listen, I don't want to be the judge of the person who cut your hair before. Everybody has a different approach of cutting hair. Some people are less precise, more precise.
I love that it's that you can replicate it. I mean, that's a huge thing. I feel like there's been so many times that I've had a haircut that I like, but I don't have that again, even with the same person.
Well, Cassie, I'm about to tell you something important. During the past 14 years of research of developing this method, I have invented a codified language that can be used to define a standardized procedure for a predetermined haircut, which simply gives the possibility to repeat and transmit the way a haircut has been given. So let's go back to the haircut. We are lacking in lateral symmetry, both sides are not the same. But I need to cut this out. So anyway, I'm not going to keep your hair as long as it is. You're going to change it. So you're going to have a little bit shorter. This list indicates some of the reasons why we have called the structural base of a haircut a vector hairway. So please do not hesitate to stop on the image and take the time to read those reasons. And yes, there is a lot of information here. Next is a recommended checklist to cut the haircut base. By the way, do not get confused. A procedure stays the same whether you're right-handed or left-handed. The haircut base is symmetric. You can begin from the right or the left side. Let's begin left. Set your starting point base length at the same time that you are setting your attitude angle or vector descent angle, same thing. Keep positioning straight. Verify at all time, head straight and hair alignment. Take as much time as you need, don't rush. Check and correct for spherical spread, which by the way the formal expression is orthocouralogic spherical spread. So let me explain what that is. It is somewhat self-explanatory. The spherical spread relates to the hair spreading radially due to the spherical aspect of the head. This is an orthocouralogical device used to demonstrate, in this case, frontal spherical spread. So just take a look. You can stop on the image to look at it longer. You can see how the use of the haircutting comb works against the spherical natural spread. Therefore, someone might think that it can be better not to use a comb and directly cut the base without the intermediate tool, which is the comb. However, you must know that the use of the haircutting comb is essential for higher haircutting precision and accuracy performances, which in turn create the need for adjustment activity, and that is the adjustment for spherical spread, in which spherical spread occurs 360 degrees around the head and is relative to each different topology. Again, take your time, align, realign, verify, position correctly. Do not hesitate, nor be embarrassed to spend a lot of time for giving your haircut. Positioning correctly is important for technical and artistic performance.
That makes so much sense.
For your client, so as for you, for your physical health. And time necessary for giving a haircut is in part relative to the technical difficulties. Just think about this. You have more than 100,000 single hair strands on top of your head to deal with. Isn't it a lot of hair to cut? So make time available and use it efficiently with higher technical knowledge and better practice. I physically led and asked Casey to turn her head to the right in order to be able to cut the base without hitting her shoulder, and with shoulder represent an obstruction and a difficulty to set correctly that type of a haircut base. Turning the head away to clear the shoulder permits to reduce vertical lift, and which vertical lift induces the uncontrolled creation or formation of microgradation or layers. Turning the head away also permits to maximize the desired linearity quality of the haircut base. The creation of orthocouralogy and its philosophy has led us to categorize different types of haircut base. In this case, this haircut base is called orbital haircut base. I repeat, orbital haircut base. And the reason why is simple. An orbital haircut base can circumnavigate the head and body and also can be lifted from its resting position. What you should also know is that the level of technical difficulty, including dexterity, increases as the path, I repeat, as the path described by that type of haircut base becomes longer and becomes even very difficult when reaching very long length, which ultimately will involve very steep slant/descent angles. That is one major reason why haircutting operation cannot be executed in a short time when dealing in that domain of technical difficulty. Dealing with a less steep slant angle is much easier and therefore much faster. You can begin to train on a mannequin, as I'm doing now, and progressively change that slant steepness angle from low to high, and therefore physically experience the interesting technical challenge, so as build your trust and self-confidence. Now for the back area. Set the haircut base with the head flexed downward in order to minimize possible occipital and neck arch, so as to also increase the possibility to comb the hair flat against its resting surface, as well as to minimize microgradation and increase linear quality. Look at the hair alignment induced by the haircutting comb. Also look at the hair tension, which is fairly firm. The alignment begins at the construction section or source of origin, which is the scalp, all the way through the end of the hair that has been selected. Now I am arriving to the halfway point or midpoint of the haircut base. Correct and logical gradation or layering, if you use that term, is dependable to the way you set your haircut base. It is also a safe and controlled procedure to set long and very long haircut base before engaging into a gradation or layering procedure. Now the left side of the haircut base is done. This image illustrates the mechanical system that I have used to cut the right side. So to begin the right side, I am using the starting reference length used to cut the opposite side. I am now transferring the left reference starting length to the right and begin to cut the right base. And here we are. Bracketing technique. What is it? It is a safety haircutting measure that is used to cut a series of consecutive segments of group of hair until reaching a desired result. This technique can also be used for haircutting adjustment or correction. As an example, if one dimension of a haircut structure should be repeated to the other side, someone might cut that other side in increment, and that is in order to avoid cutting that other side too short at the first attempt. Progressing to the side of the back hemisphere, I am still clearing the shoulder by rotating the head to the left, with a forward flex in order to minimize the neck camber or arch, in order to avoid microgradation and increase linearity quality. So what I'm going to do now is to check both sides. It's not finished. I should be a little bit longer on this side. Yes, I am. So you see, there's a big difference. Okay? So we're almost there. So what I'm going to do? So the proper corrective procedure to put both sides the same is to begin correction at the starting front reference length. Set the new descent slant angle less steep, and do not hesitate to use a bracketing technique in order not to overshoot the desired length of symmetry. I am now engaging for corrective activity in order to cut both sides the same. I am using my front reference starting length and begin to cut with a lesser steep angle. We need to use good judgment. Note that I am cutting that type of structure at eyes level with Cassie, which gives me a vertical range of visibility and angle control much greater than if I was cutting from above Cassie's head. Look how Cassie is holding up her head very straight. She stays still, she's not moving, and that makes my work much easier. Now that both sides are completed, it's time to check. Right versus left. Are we satisfied with that?
Looks pretty close.
I am. Okay.
That was very, very...
So, voila,
Yeah.
here we go.
Nice.
This is the real deal.
The technique works.
Wow.
Okay, so now I need to cut the back.
Ah, okay.
Of course, I didn't finish it. Alright. Time to match the right back hemisphere to the left back hemisphere. Because the construction section that I am using is in the vicinity of the great circle of the head, there is not much spherical spread to deal with. So what is the great circle? In our domain, which is haircutting, and in orthocouralogical term, the great circles define the longest circumference of the human head. The spread of the hair located on that circumference can be minimal or non-existent, depending on the physical property of the hair. However, the hair located above the great circle will more or less tend to spread, and consequently will require adjustment. I could have kept the same descent slant angle and create a V-shape. However, in this case, I have decided to change to a curving and shallower rate of descent, which will be softer. That change will have an incidence on the grading/layering system. This is a list of orthocouralogical terms and expressions used in this presentation. So now we are done with this introduction to learn how to cut a long or very long haircut base. This document is the product of many years of educational and professional concern. So take it and enjoy it.